Hello and welcome to Your Vote Counts. I'm Mary Holdman from the League of Women Voters, bringing you this public, nonpartisan voter service program. These 2020 general election interviews are made possible through Capital Community Media via remote technology and in collaboration with the Leagues of Women Voters of Oregon and Marion and Polk counties. For this race, all candidates were invited. Candidates did not receive the questions developed by League of Women Voters, AAUW, Salem City Club, and neighborhood associations ahead of time. The candidates were asked to prepare a 3-minute statement telling about themselves, their qualifications, and their vision for the office if elected. I would like to now ask candidate Selma Pierce, who is running for Oregon House District 20, to share her opening remarks.
Thank you for inviting me to your candidate forum. Thank you very much, League of Women Voters, for being interested and caring to inform voters and encouraging people to vote. So I'm Selma Pierce, and I'm running for state rep for House District 20, which includes Monmouth, Independence, parts of South Salem, and West Salem. I grew up as a latchkey kid in an immigrant family, and I had the great fortune of having great education and training, and so I was able to work as a dentist for many years. But I'm also a community volunteer, and it is very important to me to give back to my community, and it's something that I try to tell my kids to do. It's very important to help our own communities. We have a lot of things to take care of now. 2020 has not been a smooth year for anyone. We're dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, racial issues, and now wildfires that are still raging. Hopefully the rain last night and hopefully later today will help put them out. There's a lot of work to be done moving forward. Our small businesses and the many people who work for them are struggling. Their situations are very difficult, but they keep working at keeping employees and customers safe, trying to rebound from this shutdown, and worrying about the future. Our schools are reopening this week with a whole new way of educating our kids. Parents are struggling with helping their kids with schoolwork, childcare, trying to work themselves, and juggling it all. Some have help from families, but many do not. Everyone is dealing with increased social isolation, and the stress is building. People are concerned about racial issues, the same ones that existed and are resurfacing again. This time, it is time that we work on real solutions rather than just hoping they'll go away only to resurface again in a few years. The stress is building for a lot of people. We miss each other, our kids miss each other, we're worried about what's next. A lot of people are suffering from depression and anxiety. It seems that we have one crisis after another, and still people have the energy and concern about their neighbors. Even though we've been hit by these huge wildfires and some people have been burnt out of their homes, we see that people still care about each other. The outpouring of help and donations for the evacuees is really heartwarming. People want to help. We hear stories of people putting their lives on the line to hold the fires back to save their towns. How can we not do better when these crises bring out the best in people? And I bring a new and different perspective to this whole campaign. I'm from the community. I spend a lot of time working with lots of people, so I bring their hopes and dreams with me, as it should be, since I will be in the legislature to work for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Pierce. So for the first question, I was thinking about actually talking about the infrastructure and what can be put in place to create an infrastructure more resilient to fires, floods, seismic, health, and political disasters.
Well, that's a big job there to do all that. Well, right now, let's just talk about the wildfires first. We also have we know that there is climate change. The National Academy of Sciences says that is so. So we should all believe that. But in the meantime, we still have to live with the effects of climate change. So rather than just saying it's due to climate change, we have to do something concrete. For one thing, there's a lot of brush in our forests right now, a lot in the understory. And that has, if we do not take care of it, then they will create these fires that are really big and really hot. So I do believe in forest management in the meantime, so that we can remove some of that underbrush to make sure that the fires, since we all live fairly close to a forest, are not so hot and they don't burn as they did this past week. You're talking about infrastructure in our community. In West Salem, there is a bridge over to the rest of Salem, but it is rather old, and it's not big enough to handle the traffic that goes through. So right now, I would suggest that, because also PSU has said that it will be a growth area, and they're expecting 25 to 50% growth in the area. So we need to plan for the future. We need to think about a bridge that not only connects us across the Willamette River, but also that connects the coastal areas. And if we can keep our traffic flowing, number one, we don't have cars sitting in traffic creating more emissions. Number two, that keeps the ideas and people flowing around our state. Think about a bridge as a circulatory system, part of our circulatory system, which is also, when you think about it, kind of like in a person. If you have a blood clot and it's clogging something, you're not very healthy. But when your circulatory system is free flowing, then things can be very healthy. So this is needed for our movement of people and goods and ideas. The other thing is, in terms of infrastructure, it's not sexy, but we need to make sure that our systems of water are doing well. We had a problem a couple of years in Salem where the water had an algal bloom and it was not safe to drink. We need to worry about our waste control. We need to take care of our sewer system. And another thing that's been very important, especially now, is the internet needs to be up and running very well. As people are trying to learn through using technology, and also people are trying to work through technology. And today's forum is also through technology. And if we did not have good internet, then we could have a lot of problems. So these infrastructure things need to be shored up, planned for in the future, so that we can have a free-flowing society that works well for everybody.
Thank you very much. Could you also tell us about what plans you might put in place to address homelessness due to COVID, evictions, and now the fires as well?
Okay, I'm just sorry. You have a lot of parts, and I wanted to make sure I remembered them. Yes, we do have a large homeless population in Salem, and they do need a lot of services. I've worked in situations where I have dealt with the homeless. I worked at the Community Homeless Connect. I worked with Family Promise, and I've worked at Church at the Park, as well as participating in the point in time contact count. So right now, they have allowed the homeless population to move back into several parks, Wallace Marine Park, and also Cascade Gateway Park on the east side of Salem, so that they can separate and they aren't that close together. But it is very important that when all this is said and done, that they are cared for. So they need a lot of help in certain situations. Number one, they need help with housing, all kinds of housing, whether it's whether we're talking about transitional housing, emergency housing, duration housing, but also we need something more permanent for them later on. For example, some need supportive housing and some may need permanent housing. I met a couple of gentlemen who were homeless, and they had been on the waiting list for affordable housing for over 2 years, and that is very unfortunate. We also need to have mental health services that can help deal with the issues that they have. Some of them have addiction problems, some due to alcohol or drugs. Also, they need services to help them with getting ready to go back to work so they can gain some dignity for themselves. And this might mean getting a GED or job skills or job reentry programs, and so that they can get their dignity back. So these are things that are overlaid with what we have going on with COVID. But these were issues that were existing beforehand. So this is very important that we take care of them. I do believe that at one time the legislature was looking at helping us in Salem and also in Eugene with a resource center. And that's what is in development right now, so that these people can be connected to resources and find ways to get housing so that they can move to a better place. And the ones that homeless that I have, the people who are experiencing homelessness that I have met are very much like us. A lot of them are from our communities, and they have hopes and aspirations just as we are. So it would be worth our while to help them with connecting to services and resources to make their lives better.
Thank you. Passing a balanced budget, considering recent events, will be a big task. What will be your guiding principles as you make budgetary choices?
That is a big issue right now. With the state budget, it's expected to have a several $billion hole. That makes quite a stressor. But we have to try to do what we can to keep expenses matching the budget so that we can provide services. For example, we can look at any rainy day funds that we have. I think it's a rainy day now. We should also put a freeze on new hires. If there's a job opening and no one has applied for it and no one is there, then let's wait on that a bit. There's the option of also offering early retirement for some people, so that our payroll is lower. So expenses on the government side would be lower. Also, we should prioritize the budget. Select those items that are most crucial, fund those first, and then decide if there's money left, what else can we fund? So these would include things like public safety, education, mental health, and services for our most vulnerable, such as our foster kids. So we should also look for some efficiencies in the way government does things. This is a chance now for us to look at processes and say, hey, how can we do it better? And I think we can ask our government employees to help on that, because they're at the front lines. They know how things work. They know how things can be better. And I think that's a resource we can ask on. Another thing is, we can help people get back to work. A lot of places have opened up, but they haven't opened up fully. And we should try to get them to open more fully in a safe manner so that they can, as they get back to work, pay taxes. And the projections that were made are made on what is happening today. But if more and more people get back to work, then the projections may change and make it more favorable so that the budget hole is not so great.
Thank you. So besides the issues we've discussed, what other major issues are on your mind, and on what committees would you like to serve if you were elected?
Well, I'm a dentist, and so I would like to serve on the healthcare committee, but I'm also concerned about our businesses, which are very supportive and is in creating our economy and jobs for our working people. So I would like to be those. I'm also a big proponent of education. I came from a regular family, but I had great education and training, so that helped me get to where I am. So I would like our educational system to be improved on. For one thing, it seems like even though our graduation rates are higher, they're not as high as we would like them. So I would feel that anything that can be done to help those and help those who are on the other side of the achievement gap to have more support so they can also do well. Another thing that it seems to be a good tool is these career technical education classes. I have been a tutor at North Salem High School in math, in geometry. I know it's everyone's favorite subject, but it seems like at that class, I would say they were well-behaved kids, but they're only about a quarter of the kids were really paying attention. And then I went over to the C-Tech Center that was just built in Salem, and they were teaching a similar subject, and it was like night and day. Here we have the kids, every one of them was paying attention, everyone was focused, and I think they were more excited about the math than the kids at the regular class. because number one, they had to learn it because they had to use it right away. But I think that hands-on practice of using principles you're learning really reinforces the learning. So the kids were excited about learning. So it was really, really exciting to see. So I don't want it just for the large school districts, such as in Salem here, but also it would be interesting to have it. And I know that there is a desire for it at the smaller school districts. And I do believe there's another center that's in development that will help some of the smaller school districts have more CTE classes. So that I think is a good tool, because not only that, those kids that took only one CTE class graduated at a 90 to 97% rate, which is amazing. So there's something there that made them interested. They were excited about learning and they were doing it. So I would like to see more of that in our school districts.
Okay, and did you mention what committees you would like to serve on?
Yes, I said healthcare because I'm a dentist. So
Right.
I feel like I have some background
Yes,
there.
you did. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have one question. I think we have time for one more. How will Oregon fund adequate maintenance personnel for state parks?
That is very interesting because we all enjoy our state parks, but they are not there and kept up at the way they are by themselves. So it is so that maybe, as more people are staying home and not traveling very far, whereas before we were doing a lot of overseas travel, but with the COVID, people are finding there's some real gems in their local communities and not too far. So it does need to be maintenance. Number one, the people that we have working in our state parks should be kept safe. Number two, that is, as people do need to get out of their homes, and this becomes a more important item on the budget, so that may move up in priority. So I do believe that should be funded. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your answers, Candidate Pierce. Thank you for our interview today and for sharing your thoughts.
Oh, thank you very much for having me, and I appreciate this opportunity. I would like to tell your viewers that I offer a choice in House District 20, and because I come from a different background than a lot of people, these experiences in my background will create more diverse ideas, and I do believe having a more diverse idea, because our state has more diversity in it now, that it would be crucial to have that conversation so that any policies that the state comes up with would fit more people in our state so that they can feel like their state is much more responsive to them. So I offer a choice, and I hope that you will take a look at me at selmapierce.org. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thanks as well to Capital Community Media for their time and expertise in creating this program and making it available across the state through YouTube and Vote 411. Thank you to the several League of Women Voters Leagues for being interviewers and suggesting questions. And thanks to you, the public, for watching Your Vote Counts in order to become a more informed voter. For more voter information, including dates, registration, candidates for state and local areas, and ballot measure information, please go online to vote411.org. You have until October 13th to register to vote, with ballots being mailed to you beginning on October 14th. November 3rd is Election Day, and please remember that postmarks don't count. Elections matter and make a difference, so remember to vote, because your vote counts.